So one of the biggest points I raised in my I Quit Yu-Gi-Oh video that you guys blasted the fuck out of me on was Yu-Gi-Oh's lack of flavor. And I think the reason I got blasted was because I didn't do a very good job in explaining what I meant. What I meant to point out was how individual Yu-Gi-Oh cards are more often than not more mechanical and that the effects are not very flavorful. Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes have great theming around gameplay mechanics, and the archetypes themselves often have a lot of flavor, especially when you look at external sources like Duel Terminal or the Master Guide books, let's say. These are outside things that literally provide the lore and explain what the cards are and what their places are in the world. The problem for me is I'm not trying to read a booklet or a wiki to get my flavor fix, right? What I miss from other card games are when the effects of individual cards are flavorful. Or to put it in other words, when a card's role and effect on gameplay helps provide flavor. What is flavor? Well, things that provide flavor, to me, are things that identify a card and contextualizes the fantasy world it depicts or the events that are described in the name and the artwork. How well a card's effects on gameplay matches with the other elements of the card in order to provide flavor is what I think other card games do better. And today, we're going to put that to the test. We're going to open card packs in Magic the Gathering Arena and in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and pit them against each other. How are we going to do that? I'm going to open packs for both games. And for each pack, we're going to go through each card and determine which card is the flavor winner or the card with the most flavor. Then, with each game's flavor winner, we'll compare and grade them on the 3 C's. The 3 C's are cohesion, clarity, and capital, and I'll go over this a little more in detail. We're going to do this for 3 packs for each game and see which game comes out on top. I'm obviously the final judge and interpreter, but this is an open discussion for anyone in the live chat. One last note before we clarify that grading system. This is meant to be a for fun thing. I like both games. I like Magic. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I like One Piece. I don't like playing Master Duel. That's okay. I like card games. Card games are what's fun to me, and this is like an aspect of card games I really like. There is obviously a lot of room for interpretation. Things can be missed, and ultimately interpretation is subjective. So feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and also do me a big, huge favor and leave a like and subscribe if you want to see me do this with other card games or other packs. All right, so what are we doing? We're going to be grading the cards on 3 things. And remember, this is after we pick a flavor winner for each pack. Cohesion. So cohesion is how well the whole card is telling a story. How well all elements of the card, including its gameplay mechanics, work together to convey flavorful themes. Dark Magician, for example, is a very cohesive card. Its name, attribute, type, artwork, stats, and flavor text, they all match together to deliver the identity of Dark Magician. Clarity. Clarity is basically like, do I have to Google it? Clarity is how clear and transparent a card's themes are. Does the flavor stand on its own? Or is it dependent on well-known fantasy tropes or folklore? How well-known are the famous pieces of literature or media it's based on? Or does it depend entirely on original external lore? It's easy to understand where Raigeki is and what it represents and what it's meant to represent, right? But you would have to probably know of at least Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, the anime, to understand why Dragon Maids transform between their human and dragon forms in battle. And then capital. Capital is how rich a card is with meaning. So how powerful are these themes given their explanations and context? So given the lore, right, we're not obviously going to go dive deep into every card's lore, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot of lore for each card. But given the rough explanation, whether the themes are cool, cute, heartwarming, or inspiring. I like all types of things, so I'm just going to grade like how meaningful, how significant is it. So for example, Blue Eyes White Dragon, I do think has a lot more coolness, has a lot more lore, has a lot more significance than like how Karibo's cute. We're basically going to be looking at like these and assigning them, essentially. And so there's an odd number of these things, so one's going to come out as the winner. We are looking at the sets in Magic the Gathering. The set is the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. The Lost Caverns of Ixalan, if you guys don't know, this is the latest pack that's available in Magic the Gathering Arena, also in the physical card game as well. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, we are going to be looking at Singularity Warrior, the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Card set. This one has some of the cooler cards like the Nouvelles and the Vanquished Souls. So I wanted to use this one. All right, round one. So Cohesion, Clarity, Capital. So let's go ahead and head over to Magic and open a pack. We're going to open one pack. We have 3 packs, but let's open one and we'll pick a flavor winner. All right, let's look at this one. Deep Fathom Echo, 2 green and a blue. Creature Morphoc Spirit 4/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Deep Fathom Echo explores. Then you may have it become a copy of another creature you control until end of turn. It's not very clear besides like, ooh, spooky ghost he possesses or becomes something else. And he takes the shape of something else. All right, Brackish Blunder, 1 and a blue, instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If it was tapped, create a map token. We have someone reaching over for something, but I guess he made a mistake and he is being dragged over by the dead and being forced to drown. Okay. And a map is a token artifact. Sacrifice this artifact. Target creature you control explores. Activate only as a sorcery. So explore is a mechanic in Magic. Reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. This creature that's being bounced is represented by the man being dragged by the hands. And while there's nothing left of him, nothing left of that creature, they left a map at the very least. So, I mean, I think this is pretty good. It's not like, as far as Capital, no, there's no deeper lore behind it, but I think it's like pretty meaningful with the name and like what it's conveying. The name matches well with the artwork too. Malamet Battle Glyph. Sorcery. 1 green mana. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If the creature you control entered the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then those creatures fight each other. They have the initiative. They have like a surprise sort of edge in battle. Like if they just arrived, right, then they're going to get this power up. I mean, it makes sense. The artwork makes sense. It looks like it's doing, like the effect looks, it looks like a cohesive card for sure. So I think this is good. I think this is pretty solid, right? Let's see what this is. This is a transform card, so it's double-sided, okay? You have the top side, which is on the left, and the bottom side on the right. Tithing Blade. 1 and a black artifact. When Tithing Blade enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Craft with creature, 4 and a black. Exile a creature you control, or a creature card from your graveyard. Exile this card. Return it transformed under its owner's control. Craft only as a sorcery. So when you're exiling these things, you're conducting some sort of sacrificial ritual in order to reap some sort of benefit. And that's like a common sort of Incan, Aztec sort of vibe. I get that. And so when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So this requires a lot of blood. So when it comes out on the board, it's already like killing something of the opponent's and yours. And then on top of that, you can activate the craft with creature ability. And when you craft it, it becomes a consuming sepulcher. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. You're draining people's lives. Sepulcher, a small room or monument cut in rock or built of stone in which a dead person is laid or buried. So it's an altar that consumes life. Yeah. Anyone that comes in is going to slowly be drained of their life. So I like this one. Basking Capybara. 1 and a green. But okay, you got a big capybara just taking a bath in some hot springs, just chilling with a bunch of birds hanging around him. He's chill. This guy's the most chill. He also seems to have like some kind of runes or, I don't know, some kind of magical effect on his body. So Descend 4. Basking Capybara gets +3/+0 as long as there are 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. Okay, so it seems like he is a cursed creature or some creature that was inscribed with some kind of runic power. And if he is around enough dead things, or if enough things were sacrificed in order to make him, then he in turn is like super powerful. But otherwise he's just a regular capybara, right? Pink lines imply that they are being powered up from the pink sun. That is the sun underground in the plane of Ixalan. Oh, so like basically, oh, okay, so Descend 4. Descend is basically the closer you are to Earth, the closer you are to the center of the Earth, the closer you are to that sun, the more powerful you are. And so if you're by 4 things, right, if you're that deep underground, then this capybara, this ancient creature, this creature that is closer to the sun in origin, is going to be super powerful. So I think that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, guys, let's vote. Out of all of these, I would probably say that the top 4 for me is like, maybe top 3 is like Brackish Blunder, Malamet Battleglyph, and Tithing Blade. I think this one is pretty classic. You know, it's blood for the blood god. This blade, it has even like teeth around its hilt. It makes sense. Whoever is going to use this as a weapon is prepared to make a sacrifice themselves, and also kill something else. And this kind of like blood spills on an altar, and you've created this life-consuming machine, this altar. Yeah, I like Tithing Blade. I think I like Tithing Blade for sure. All right, so the champion for Magic is Tithing Blade. All right, let's look at Yu-Gi-Oh. We'll open a pack of Singularity Warrior. Backup Secretary. Level 3, light, effect monster. It's a Cybers type. Pretty cool, cute outfit. If you control a Cybers monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Backup Secretary once per turn this way. So she's backup. She's the secretary. Obviously, the secretary is not necessarily the main monster, but they are meant to back up something else. They're meant to support someone else. Makes sense. 1200, 800. It's like a legible Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's a very simple effect. So as far as like cohesion, it's pretty clear also like what it is and what she is, what she's meant to do. It's not necessarily the deepest lore though, right? There's not too much significance. There's not too much meaning here. Right, Incantation Bookstone. Incantation Bookstone, level 5, dark spellcaster monster, 0/0. You can reveal 1 ritual spell in your hand, special summon both this card from your hand and 1 incantation monster from your deck, except Incantation Bookstone. If this card is special summoned from the deck, you can target 1 ritual spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use 1 Incantation Bookstone effect per turn, and only once that turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. We need to break this down. Why does the book bring a guy? This is the incantation sort of effect. This incantation stuff is reveal 1 ritual something, special summon both itself from the hand and then a buddy from deck. That's like the incantation theme. You use multiple tools for a ritual and they work together. Yeah, that's definitely what it is. But yeah, I wouldn't choose this as a champion. Paladin of Storm Dragon, level 4, 1900 attack, 900 defense. This is a Cybers monster. He's riding like, isn't that Firewall Dragon, or probably Firewall Dragon's like kin, or I don't know, something related to Firewall Dragon. He's a paladin. Pretty cool art. You can ritual summon this card with Signet Ritual. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a monster, you can return that monster to the hand. You can tribute this card, special summon 1 level 5 or higher Cybers monster from your hand or deck, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. Okay, so when he battles, when he's the one attacking rather, he just kind of like smites them, he removes them, he vaporizes them, they return into nothingness pretty much. But I don't necessarily see like, oh, let me sacrifice him to like special summon something else. That's not very apparent to me. It's a reference to a card called Paladin of White Dragon, callback to that. It makes the game too full of in-jokes. Yeah, so this is definitely not going to get a good grade for clarity. All right, Signet Circuit. Trap card. Normal trap. Target one Firewall Link monster you control. Special summon any number of monsters from your graveyard to either player's zones linked to that monster. If your life points are 2,000 or less, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Return one Firewall Link monster from your graveyard to your extra deck. Then you can special summon that monster from your extra deck. It's okay. I don't really know what the art is depicting though. You basically get the materials that you use to link it though. You're summoning your components, you're summoning the past. You're like opening a time portal from things in the past to like come out and assist you. Right? I'm trying. Backup operator, light, level 3, 1200, 800, Cyberse monster effect. You can target one face-up monster that a link monster you control points to. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, return that monster to the hand. If special summoned this way, banish this card when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of backup operator once per turn. So she swaps places with the monster that is being linked. She's meant to relieve someone in battle. She's a backup operator. And she's an operator. She's not necessarily the combat role, but she will relieve someone from battle and deploy her clone, some kind of remote body to take its place. I can kind of see this. I think this isn't that bad. I don't think this is that bad. I think it's kind of in the same grade as Backup Secretary. Incantation Candle, level 4, Pyro, Light Monster, 0/0, not very strong. This thing's got like crazy ass like pecs and abs. This thing's got a crazy body. You can reveal one ritual spell in your hand. Special summon both this card from your hand, one incantation monster from your deck, except Candle. If this card is special summoned from the deck, can add one ritual spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use one Candle effect per turn. So if this was tagging along, it's going to give you the spell. It's going to help you complete the ritual. You're gathering components for the ritual. I definitely like this a little more than Bookstone because I don't like how Bookstone's like salvaging from the graveyard. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you just didn't know what Bookstone was and you just looked at Candle, like, okay, yeah, you're gathering components for a ritual. All right, let's look at this one. Incantation Thanatosis. Thanatos. Okay. Very cute little face over here. This is you gathering all the ritualistic pieces, the incantations. When this card is activated, you can reveal one incantation monster in your hand. Special summon 2 monsters with that monster's name from your deck. Then shuffle the revealed monster into the deck. Once per turn, if a ritual monster is special summoned to your field, you can target one card in the field, destroy it. You can only activate one incantation Thanatosis per turn. Okay, so ignoring the second part. The second part's like whatever. It's like, okay, you complete the ritual. Haha, here's your reward. You pop something. But ignoring that, the first effect is okay. It's like this is all your incantation stuff. Special summon 2 monsters with that monster's name from your deck. Why is it the same monsters? I'm not too sure if I understand that one. Why is it the 2 same monsters? Why do you get the stuff from the deck? I mean, they just like you're lighting up the candle and you're revealing that they were there the whole time, I would say. Okay, so does it seem like it makes sense like why 2 of the same? I don't really get it either. Okay, so what are we picking as a champion, chat, for this one? I think it's either going to be Signet Circuit or Backup Secretary. And we could do a little more research with Signet Circuit. I think Signet Circuit is kind of cool. I definitely think it has like a lot of cool stuff going. We could probably find some cool stuff by looking more into it. It makes sense what it's doing. Backup Secretary is definitely the clearest card out of all of them. All right, let's get this one. All right, Showdown, round 1. We have Tithing Blade and we have Backup Secretary. So we have Tithing Blade. Tithing Blade, as we've discussed, the idea is that you have this ritualistic blade and it's meant to conduct a ritual, a blood sacrifice. The wielder is sacrificing themselves as well as the blood of an opponent. So you're sacrificing both sides, and this is meant to craft the flip side of this card, which is a consuming sepulcher. It is an altar. It's supposed to drain life, and it's feeding the wielder. It's feeding whoever created this machination, this mystical object, this altar. Now let's, on the other side of that, we have backup secretary. This thing is basically coming out to back up your cyber creature. It's hard. Craft with creature, basically you're sacrificing something. Either a creature you control or something in your graveyard, and this completes the ritual. This completes the sacrifice needed to create the consuming sepulcher. It makes more sense if you exile the creature from the graveyard, you putting them in the sepulcher for the gain. Yeah, you could be putting them into the sepulcher, yeah. You're basically using their body, right? You either kill them or you use their body as a sort of conduit, as sort of a focal point for this machination to like function, right? I think in terms of cohesion, of everything that supports it, you know, level 3, small stats, sure. You know, she doesn't look like the biggest warrior. Her effect makes sense. It correlates very well to the name. Tithing Blade is also, you know, something that correlates very well as well. It's hard to say. It's like a flip of the coin here, honestly. It really is. It's an artifact. You have to pay mana to put it on the board. Whereas this is normal summonable, but you can also just use it to extend. She comes out as a backup. She has a notepad, bro. Secretary doesn't look like a secretary. It looks like a secretary to me. As far as like cohesion, I definitely think, okay, why don't we go for like capital first, okay? Capital again is like how deep the lore is and like what the themes are and the significance of it. I think Tithing Blade has a much more powerful, much more meaningful sort of depiction, for sure. It's tough. It's definitely tough. Clarity, as far as clarity goes, clarity is like, how well does this sort of depend on its own stuff, or is it really dependent on like fantasy tropes or folklore? Technically, this does really stand on its own. Like, you don't really need to know that much about cybers to understand that, you know, she's a cyber woman and she helps out cyber dudes and she just comes out. It's very clear. This one you would kind of have to know Incan, Aztec, at least the vibes of their folklore to understand that they like ritualistic sacrifices. They like blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice is a huge historical theme. I do think it's a little more relevant to everyone though. Like, everyone can relate to history. Everyone can relate to like the human condition. This is a little more fantastical, right? I'm a secretary all over this card. Not everyone knows what a sepulcher is, so I guess it goes to secretary. Jokes aside, I think secretary wins clarity. The Magic the Gathering card is a little complex. It is a little more complex. Alright, let's give it to how many blood sacrifices have you seen? You definitely haven't. You're right. This is something you see in the history books. This one's tough, man. So cohesion, how everything kind of supports it. I think there are definitely an overwhelming amount of supportive elements to the overall message and the theme and what this card is trying to artistically express. My vote goes for cohesion, for Tithing Blade, chat. I think Tithing wins easy. It's a lot of text, a lot of art, and it all works, yeah. All right. Maybe a little lopsided thanks to the packs, but I think we're gonna have to give one to Magic. Here we go. Magic. Second pack. Okay, we got a mythic. Pak Patik. Deepest Epoch. 2, a blue and a blue. Legendary creature. So you can only have one of it on the field. God. The type of creature is it's a god. Flying. Definitely has wings. This definitely has wings. Those are some big wings. Whenever you cast an instant spell from your hand, it gains Rebound. Rebound is, if you cast a spell with Rebound from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast that card from exile without paying its mana cost. That's really cool. I definitely wouldn't put it past this god to basically echo your spells. I think that's pretty sick. When Ogre Patik dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control with 3 time counters on it. Okay. It's a 4/3. So it'll transform into Temple of Cyclical Time. So when the god is done and the god is slain, the people will still worship it, and it will become the Temple of Cyclical Time. A land. You can tap this land to add blue mana, remove a time counter from Temple of Cyclical Time. Then you could spend 2 and a blue, tap it, transform Temple of Cyclical Time, activate only if it has no time counters on it and only as a sorcery. That's so fucking cool. So basically, it is like when you have it on the board, it's a god, it's doing its god things, echoing your spells, right? Making it, just being a fucking menace. And even when you kill it, it doesn't actually die. With enough time, with enough worship, with enough sacrifice, it will come back. The god will return. I think this is really cool. You see its tails, it's looping. It's very, not necessarily Ouroboros, but it's the concept of time as a cycle, as a circle, that is very clearly illustrated, and that's what's meant to be portrayed here. It's less like echoing and more like sending the spell to the future. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Can we just label this as the pack champ now? I mean, we could, for sure. I mean, let's just take a quick look at some other stuff, right? This one is a pretty big, big winner. So maybe we just, we're gonna try and speed up and, just say, hey, does it beat this card? I don't know. Synapse Necromage, 2 and a black, creature fungus wizard. When this dies, create 2 1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block. Okay, whatever. I mean, spores, fungus, mushrooms in general, they represent death and decay, and they come in when they die, more things kind of come out in its place. It's whatever. It's good. It's not it's not better than this. Deconstruction Hammer is 1 white. It's an artifact equipment. You have those purple sigils, the circles, kind of hovering around it now, right? Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has 3 tap. Sacrifice Deconstruction Hammer. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Equip 1. It says Deconstruction Hammer. It's very on the nose. Let's just say that. So it's okay. Primordial Gnawer. 4 and a black. Creature insect horror. When Primordial Gnawer dies, discover 3. Exile cards on the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost or put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. This one I would say is kind of weak. It's definitely not better than the other one. Rampaging Spiketail, 4 black, creature, dinosaur. When Rampaging Spiketail enters the battlefield, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Swamp Cycling 2. Swamp Cycling 2, discard this card. Search your library for a swamp card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I would say this one's pretty bad. Child of the Volcano, 3 and a red. Creature elemental trample at the beginning of your end step. If you descend this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Child of the Volcano. So descend. You descend each time a permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere. It's stronger the deeper you go. The closer you are to the center of the earth, the stronger it is. I guess that makes sense. More blood. Blood for the blood god. Blood for the Child of the Volcano. It's okay. In the presence of ages, 2 and a green. Instant. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and or land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. It looks like they are uncovering maybe leaves that were enshrouding this. It looks like this construct was hidden. It's okay. It's alright. Like, I get the theme. You're uncovering this, and whatever's inside you're getting as a reward. The creature, the land card, whatever. I would say it's no contest. I think Ogier definitely wins. Okay. Ogier is in the arena. Let's open a Yu-Gi-Oh pack. Vanquish Soul Pantera. Level 4, 1700, 1900. Beast Warrior. She's definitely a beast. She's definitely a warrior. Okay. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. Quick effect. You can activate one of these effects by revealing monsters in your hand with the listed attributes. If you reveal Earth, this card cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, so she protects herself. She empowers herself when you're inputting this kind of command. If you guys don't know, Vanquish Souls, the theme around Vanquish Souls is that they are the fighting game archetype. And essentially, when you reveal these cards with these certain attributes, it's like you're inputting a specific command in order to reap some sort of benefit. Like down, forward, forward. Punch is a Hadouken. Well, if you reveal Earth and Fire, you can destroy all spells and traps in this card's column. That's what this character, this fighting game character, can do. This one's okay, for sure, because the first effect, she's a panther. She's a leopard, tiger, whatever. Not a tiger, leopard or a panther. And so she does, if you look at her in the context of other Vanquish Soul cards, or just even her as a beast warrior, the beast that she is, she sounds quick and she looks quick. So this effect of turboing her out makes sense. And this effect, sure, that's okay. Destroying all spells, traps is whatever, but it makes sense to me that she's inputting button commands. She's having some sort of cool super effect with the right input, the right command. It's okay. It's definitely like C+ or a B, I would say. This is pretty good. I always saw the reveal as calling in allies like you do in some fighting games. Okay. So like an assist, 2 assists, double assist. So she's most associated with them. That's what I heard was button inputs, but the tags, like tagging, I can definitely see that because Vanquish Soul does have a trap card where you have like a tag super. Vanquish Soul Calamity Caesar counter trap card. When an opponent's spell, trap card, or monster effect is activated that targets a card or cards you control, while you control a Vanquish Soul monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card, then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that attack of one Vanquish Soul monster you control. You can only activate one Vanquish Soul Calamity Caesar per turn. It looks very representative of like Blaze Blue Astral Heats, where you are fulfilling a certain condition of like they have to be 30% health and you have to be on match point, and it's like this ultimate super that like turns the tide of battle. Or you can interpret it as a counter super. A counter super in fighting games is very commonplace. Basically, when a character activates a counter super, if they are attacked during a certain time frame after activation, then they're met with a super powerful attack that renders them like they didn't receive any damage, but you receive a shit ton of damage. This is a counter super. And even though this part is, pretty generic, I mean, like, it makes sense. You basically nullify their attack entirely and you deal to whoever was trying to attack you damage equal to what they would have done to you. So I like it. I think this is pretty solid. I would say this might even be better than Pantera. It looks like a projectile. I mean, I think that's okay. It's kind of like Gaybolg from Fantasy or from Fate. It attacked before it reversed like cause and effect, you would say. And Gaybolg is not necessarily a counter, but it's like it has the idea of like initiative or forcing initiative, right? Stealing away your initiative. That's what Gaybolg is. It's pretty cool. It's all right. I would say this is a solid B, you know? Incantation Pensaplume. So it's an incantation effect, but he could give you back a monster. Yeah. For me, I don't like the incantations that much. For me, incantations almost exist like they're purely mechanical. You know, it's cool what he does, but I don't really correlate like, okay, he's a pen. He's a magical pen. What is he? I guess he's drawing back the monster that you lost. He's drawing the monster. So like you have a candle, you have a book, you have a plume. I don't know. I don't know why he's psychic, but you tell he's target spotted. He's psychic so that they have a variety of different types. I would say this is pretty weak. Bookstone, we already saw that. Cynet Fusion, normal spell. Fusion summon one Cyberse Fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, so it's a polymerization. If you control no monsters in the extra monster zone, you can also banish up to one Cyberse Link monster from your graveyard as fusion material. A Link monster has to be used as material. It's a polymerization. Why you're able to use a Cyberse monster from your graveyard, a Cyberse Link monster specifically, it doesn't really, I don't see it really in the art. I don't see how like, oh, it came back from the dead to be used as fusion material. For me, it's like whatever. I think this is whatever. This is definitely not it. Gachiri at Ignister. So this is a member of the at Ignister archetype. It's a level 8 monster, earth type, 0/3000 defense. It definitely looks like it should have 3000 defense. It's a little dude with a big ass shield. Cyberse effect monster. The first time each Cyberse monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect each turn, it is not destroyed. Okay. So just his mere presence allows him to defend another monster, a Cyberse monster only. It's fine. Sure. You can only use each of the following effects of Gachiri at Ignister once per turn. You can target one Cyberse effect monster you control, negate its effects, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent from the field to your graveyard, you can target one face-up monster you control. That target is unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. I actually like Gachiri at Ignister. You know? He's a little dude with a big-ass shield. He comes in the nick of time, saves his friend, saves his buddy. When he dies, he throws the shield over and, you know, gives them a protective effect. It's a big-ass shield, too, so, you know, your ally that he's defending can't really move around, maneuver, do his thing. I think this is pretty good. I think this is pretty strong. If Pantera got like a B, this probably gets like a B+. Rossetti di Viande. It's a meat recipe. It's a ritual spell. This is for the Nouvelle archetype. As I understand it, Nouvelle is like a new support for the Hungry Burger ritual monster. So this is supposed to be a spell for Hungry Burger or any of the Nouvelles. Let's read it. Let him cook. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nouvelle's ritual monster. I would hope that all the Nouvelles are all like meat-based foods. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. So basically just reiterating to you the rules of a ritual summon. Then, if you ritual summon Confidas de Nouvelles, I hope I said that right, you can apply the following effect. Change all defense position monsters your opponent currently controls to attack position. I guess I can kind of see this. It's a ritual spell. You're cooking. You're cooking the monster into being. I don't know why this ordinary Frenchman can make something like Hungry Burger or any of the Nouvelles, but okay, sure. Maybe he's, I mean, his attire is like definitely pretty, like you can reason out that he's maybe magical. Sure. He's bringing it into life. He's bringing it into being. And when he does, the opponent's monsters their senses are aroused. Basically, they infuse food with demons from the Ars Goetia to make really good food. I see. I would say this gets a solid B. I still like Gachiri a little better, honestly. But this one is simple, it's effective. It's also very cute, right? This one's funny, might be my pick. Okay, guys, I think it's gonna be a toss-up between Pantera, Gachiri, and Resetti. The poll results are in. Looks like Reset is the winner. Okay, round 2. We have Ogier Pakpatik, Deepest Epoch. And if you guys want a reminder, he is basically a time god. He's flying. Whenever you cast an instant spell, he kind of like sends it into the future so you can have the same effect. When he dies, he disappears and instead you have the temple. And basically with enough time, with enough prayer, with enough sacrifice, Ogier Pakpatik comes back. On the other side, we have Reset de Viande. Pretty normal ritual spell, but they summon the Nouvelle monsters. The Nouvelle monsters are essentially ritual monsters meant to support the Hungry Burger ritual monster, I believe. They're all related to this. And, I mean, I have never really seen these monsters, but basically they combine demons with ordinary dishes in order to make extraordinarily delicious dishes. If you ritual summon Confitas de Nouvelles, specifically, if you summon this one, then it's apparently it smells so good that it arouses the senses of all of your opponent's monsters and forces them into attack position. They turn. They're like, hey, that smells good. So cohesion. How well does everything kind of lend itself to the lore, the theme, the overall message that this card is trying to portray? Definitely, I think Ogier Pakpatik, you know, as far as the art goes, he has flying, he has big ass wings, and he definitely looks like a time god. You see a lot of cyclical representation with the way his tail coils. He becomes a temple of time. It's very clear he's like a time god. He has power and control over time. He's sending things to the future. When he dies, he returns. It's the cycle of life and death, rebirth, right? It's there's a lot of heavy theming and there's a lot of things that support this. Let's just say there is a lot of cohesion with this card for sure. As far as Resetti de Viande, the cohesion, how well does everything kind of support the theme? I would say it's fine. Yeah, rituals. If ritual monsters could be likened to anything like cooking a recipe, like using recipes and components to make a stronger thing, Nouvelles and the ritual spell, I feel like are great conduits for that. Ritual spell has this funny little icon that is a blazing flame, so there's plus points for that. Cohesion is definitely, I would definitely say it's there. There's a lot of things that support its theme. I mean, it's I feel like it's a little unfortunate. I think Resetti de Viande got matched up against a literal god. I think cohesion goes to Ogier Pakpatik. There's just a lot of things that support Ogier Pakpatik, his power, his eminence, his like capabilities, what he represents, time as a cycle, him coming back to life, and you know, it just, there's a lot of things to support it. All right, clarity. How clear is it? Does it stand on its own? Do I need to look a little deeper? I would say you don't have to Google a lot to know what this card does. Like, even if you didn't tell me he was a time god, well, he forms a temple of time. And he has all these, like, cyclical, like, structures in his artwork. It's in his effect. I feel like it's very clear. I also feel like this is very clear, but it's also because it's also very simple. You know? It makes a lot of sense. You know, I don't know. I feel like everything here It's kind of on the nose. It's very clear. It's very understandable. It's unfortunate that Rossetti got paired up against Ogier. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Ogier. Yeah. Capital. Is Ogier as cool and significant? How cool and significant? How eminent is he compared to like the comedic value of cooking up a recipe and, you know, arousing them with the smell of food? You're cooking up a ritual monster. I feel like it's not a competition. I feel like it goes to Ogier. I think there's just way too much going on for him, unfortunately. I think the point goes to Magic. But I don't want to, even though it's like, technically you get more points to Magic, I want to see if like we could find something for Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's go to round 3. It's not really about, I feel like it's not really about who wins and loses. I want to see if we can get something for Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys want to switch up the order? Let's do this one. Alright, last one. You'd best pull a VS card so I could explain it. We pulled Pantera. Ooh, Gachiri's back. Damn, we can make a Vanquish Soul deck now. Stake your soul. Spell card. You are. Reveal one monster in your hand. Special summon one Vanquish Soul monster with the same attribute but a different name from your deck, but return it to the hand during the end phase. You can only activate one Stake your soul per turn. Oh, I get it. So you reveal one monster in your hand, and you're saying, I need to get someone else to versus it? It looks like a versus screen. Pantera versus... I don't know what his name is. You're basically deploying the fighting game characters. You're starting the battle. You are initiating the combat between two characters. You're picking bitter rivals to duke it out. Same attribute. Okay, 2 rivals to duke it out. Well, Guilty Gear is like heaven or hell, right? This fighting game is Stake Your Soul. Reset de Poison. If you ritual summon Barella Bice de Nouvelle, you can apply the following effect. Add 1 recipe ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except Reset de Poison. I don't really like this effect much, like this part. I don't know. It's okay for me. Vanquish Soul Pluton HG. Level 6, 0/0. He's a zombie type. Fire monster. During your opponent's turn, if you control no monsters or only Vanquish Soul monsters in your main monster zone, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Quick effect, you can activate one of these effects by revealing monsters in your hand with the listed attributes. Fire, this card gains 3,000 defense until the end of the turn. Dark and Earth, this card gains 3,000 attack until the end of this turn. I said it before when we were looking at Vanquish Soul cards, I'll say it again. This guy is the Arakune, the Yoshimitsu, the weirdo in the total fighting game cast, and he does weird shit. He doesn't seem like much. He doesn't do much in the hands of a player that just doesn't invest the time to play or learn him. But if you do put the time in to learn him, then he can do some really weird, really crazy, amazing shit, which is boosting himself to 3,000 defense or 3,000 attack. So I think this is pretty good. Incantation Inception Ritual Spell. This card can be used to ritual summon any ritual monster. You must also tribute incantation monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send one incantation monster, one incantation card from your hand or the face of field to the graveyard, except Incantation Inception. Special summon one incantation monster from your deck, then add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect of Incantation Inception once per turn. So it's a ritual spell that recycles itself, doing the ritual again and again. It's interesting. I don't think this is the winner, though. Backup Operator, we've seen this card. Foi Glacia de Nouvelle. Okay, we got a Nouvelle monster. Level 4, 1600, 1850. It's a warrior ritual effect. You can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. If this card is special summoned, You can target up to 3 cards in any graveyard. Shuffle them into the deck. When a card or effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, or when a monster is targeted for an attack, quick effect. So she protects other things. You contribute 1 Nouvelle monster you control and 1 attack position monster in either field. And if you do, special summon 1 level 5 or 6 Nouvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. So this warrior demon spirit of the foie gras, this dish is going to use itself and another monster to make a bigger, better dish. All the Nouvelles have that last effect to turn enemy monsters into food after luring them in with the dish they are. Okay, I can kind of see that. That's like their theme as demons of food, and they use a different monster to cook better food, bigger food. So she turns people into food if they don't behave well. Yeah, kind of like Majin Buu in that sense, but she like mixes with them. That was an interesting way. I think it's either Stake Your Soul or Gachiri, guys. What do you guys think? I really do like Gachiri a little more. Personally, I think it does a lot flavor-wise. I think there's a lot of like, oh, it makes sense. Like, that makes sense how this works. That makes sense how this works. That makes sense how this works. You know? Stake Your Soul, it's there. It's cool. It's a great card. But I feel like you lose a lot of the stuff. You lose like the versus element. Like the name and art makes sense. It's cool. But I don't think the effect does the name and art justice. It's very subjective. For instance, you could be playing the arcade mode and unlocking the characters to be added to your roster. You know what? I actually like that. So the monster that you're summoning is you're unlocking them to be used. You show Pantera, who's like the starter character, and the idea is that you unlock Caesar, who is definitely more of like an endgame boss character like Seth or Akuma or whatever. All right, let's pick Stake Your Soul. All right, Stake Your Soul is round 3, Yu-Gi-Oh's champion. Let's go back to Magic now. But I think it's been entertaining so far. All right, Resplendent Angel. Resplendent Angel, Flying Vigilance, Lifelink. 1 and 2 whites. Creature, Angel. Flying. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. Angels usually have flying and vigilance. 3 white, white, white. Until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. So pour some mana into her, you power her up, right? She gets bigger. She also unlocks more of her angelic abilities. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, she calls another angel to help fight. The artwork has multiple angels. She has a pretty cool last looking sword. I can definitely see it gaining life, right? I think this is pretty good. It's very solid. It's another mythic card. That card's actually a reprint from a core set. Makes sense. Yeah, Resplendent Angel definitely sounds like it. I love the artwork, how it fits more into the world of Ixalan, though. Master's Guide Mural. 3 white and a blue. This is a transforming artifact. When Master's Guide Mural enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 white and blue golem artifact creature token. Craft with artifact. So craft with artifact is a keyword. 4 white, white, and a blue. Exile another artifact you control or an artifact card from your graveyard. Exile this card. Return it transformed under its owner's control. Craft only as a sorcery. So with another artifact and or an artifact that you've, used before in your graveyard, in the junk, in the salvage bin, right? You get to create this greater machination, this Master's Manufactory. Exile another artifact you control or an artifact from this card. So yeah, you use this material as well as another artifact. And then it becomes this greater golem. When this mural enters the battlefield, you also get a 4/4 white and blue golem artifact creature token. I will be honest, I don't really see how the mural makes the golem, or making the mural, or yeah, creating this mural brings out a golem. I think that's kind of weak. But when you use this mural alongside the golem or some other artifact, it becomes a manufactory. It becomes this factory for bigger golems. And this factory, you are able to tap, create a 4/4 white and blue golem, artifact creature token, activate only if Master's Manufactory or another artifact into the battlefield under your control this turn. I feel like this is more on the side of mechanical than it is like flavorful. It's cool. The art's beautiful, by the way. But I don't really think this is that flavorful. Yeah, I'm okay with this one. It's not the strongest for me. Deep Goblin Skull Taker 2 and a black. Creature Goblin Warrior. That's a small little dude with a big spear. Deep Goblin Skull Taker. So he's very proficient in taking skulls. Menace. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Deep Goblin Skull Taker. If you don't know what Menace is, Menace says a creature with Menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So, you know, it kind of looks like a Yoda stature. Quick, hard to handle, hard to defend against. And at the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Deep Goblin Skull Taker. Putting it the way I put it, in that the deeper you go, the stronger he is, the more knowledgeable he is, the more experienced he is. Kills also give him some +1/+1. I think this is pretty good. I would say this is pretty strong. Waylaying Pirates, 3 and a blue. Creature human pirate. When Waylaying Pirates enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Basically giving the artifact or creature, whatever the target is, a hard time. Not allowing it to be used. Pirates do that. If you control an artifact, you could say it's whatever device they have handy, and they're basically leveraging that tool to stun something. I like this one. A Belligerent Yearling, 1 and a red. Very cute. Very cute little dinosaur there. There's a ominous looking meteor in the background. It's a creature dinosaur 3/2. It's a baby little dinosaur. Trample. Whenever another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Belligerent Yearling's base power become equal to that creature's power until end of turn. So he's basically matching his elders, his superiors, right? When he sees another dinosaur come to the battlefield, he's inspired to match up to that potential. And it's only the power that's being matched, not necessarily the toughness. It's cute. There's a lot of cute things going on here, for sure. A Braid, 1 and a red. Instant. Not too sure what's going on. It looks like a cannon exploding. I feel like I see a skull or a screaming face in there. Choose one. A Braid deals 3 damage to target creature, or destroy target artifact. I would say this is okay, though. I don't necessarily think this is that powerful. Alright, which one is this pack's champion? I would say Resplendent Angel's very good. Deep Goblin Skull Taker. It's cute. It's pretty cool. Waylaying Pirates is also really nice. I think Belligerent Yearling would be really cute, but I don't think it's like the champion. I think it's gonna be either Resplendent, Deep Goblin Skull Taker, or Waylaying Pirates. Between Angel and Mural, I don't really think Mural's that flavorful. I'm gonna be honest. Like, yeah, the Mural tells you how to build a golem. You use this Mural to make a golem factory in the future. Okay, fine. All right, this one's pretty good. This one's not that bad. I see what it is. It's like, okay, you see the Mural. This is what it was in the past. Over time, this Mural, finding this Mural, discovering this Mural allows you to create a factory that is meant to, like, create more of these golems. Okay, fine. All right, I see that. Okay. All right, let's go with Mural. Round 3, Cohesion, Clarity, Capital. All right, Cohesion. How many things are working for... Well, let's give, like, Clarity, okay? I feel like we had to stretch a lot for Master's Guide Mural. Like, yeah, we had to stretch a little bit for Stake Your Soul. You're unlocking Caesar. You know, you have Pantera, who's like a starter character here, and you're unlocking Caesar to be used. But it's not that far of a stretch. I think that's pretty cool. I think that is pretty flavorful. I would probably give clarity off the bat to Stake Your Soul. I think that's a clear winner here. I think it sets up two combatants. It's also very clear that Caesar's kind of like the final boss. He's like the Seth. He's like the Akuma, right? And they're being shown in the Showdown. Pantera is a rival to Caesar. Caesar is Earth and Earth, right? That's the idea behind it. I feel like it's pretty clear. Once you defeat Caesar, he's unlocked as a character that you can use. Cohesion. There's a lot of things that support Master's Guide Mural, but I feel like because Stake Your Soul is also very simple and like it doesn't need too much to support its name and its art. I feel like how well they work together, the name, the artwork, the effect, I think it's all there, personally. What about Capital? I mean, there's definitely a huge story being told with Master's Guide Mural. You have the ancient artifact, this mural, this diagram. Finding it allows you to create the golems. And when you use it to craft with other things, you're able to create a factory. I think there's a lot going on in terms of Capital for Master's Guide Mural. In terms of cohesion, how well everything works together, I think honestly that Stake Your Soul wins in this one. Yeah, Master's Guide Mural has more things, but it's kind of, I don't think everything in this effect works that well. Like this one, like another artifact into the battlefield under your control this turn, that allows you to create more golems by using the factory. Why is it a condition? I think cohesion here goes to Stake Your Soul. There's not that many, there's no condition to activate Stake Your Soul really, besides revealing the monster, saying that you have the character already, and that you're unlocking a different one. Yeah, personally, I think this one does better. There are more things here, but that doesn't necessarily mean it should win cohesion. I feel like there are some things that don't work as well. I don't think they gel as well with the overall card and what it's trying to represent. But what showing a loading screen pre-fight tells you that having access to one character will throw in the fight another character of the same element. Let's say it was a story mode of Panthera, the first fight you'll have would be with another Earth, Caesar. How does that make some sense outside of the Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay mechanic? What I would say is what's being shown is Pantera is Earth, Caesar is Earth. This is the final fight. In the arcade mode, the story mode, this is the final fight. You're playing as Pantera. You're trying to defeat Caesar. Usually defeating Caesar implies that you will unlock Caesar. That's a super common fighting game trope. And Caesar would be the final boss of Pantera because they're the same attribute. Therefore, they are like similar in playstyle. They're rivals. You can see it in like Ryu versus Ken or Ryu versus Akuma, right? They have similarities in playstyle. The playstyle being represented by their attributes, Earth. So I think this matches pretty well. I think this is fun. I like this. I'm going to give the point to Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this is fun. I definitely think there's a lot more going on for Master's Guide Mural. But I do think that the simplicity of this, what it's representing, how well everything kind of lends itself to this, I think it goes to Stake Your Soul. But okay. This is what we have. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Got a bit of an unfair treatment with Singularity Warrior. Maybe we could use a different pack for Yu-Gi-Oh! And pit it up against another game or pit it up against another pack for Magic. But, I mean, I think this is pretty definitive. I think we had Tithing Blade versus Backup Secretary. Backup Secretary is very clear. Stands up on its own. You know what she does. You know what she is all about. But as far as Tithing Blade, there's a lot going on for it, and it supports so well the idea of blood sacrifices and this blade, right? Being used to create the sepulcher, right? The draining sepulcher. I don't know what it's called. The big life-draining altar. Round 2, we had Oger Pakpatik versus Rossetti de Viande. Oger definitely just has a lot more going on for it. Everything kind of meshes well with him. I think it's very clear with his artwork and what he does, who he is and what his capabilities are. And obviously there's a little more going on in terms of coolness and what he's representing. So unfortunately, it's unfortunate, but I think Oger was just a clear winner here. Stake Your Soul. I love the simplicity of Stake Your Soul. I think the reference makes sense. I think the fact that you're unlocking a character, a rival, at the end of Pantera's storyline, her arcade mode, makes a lot of sense. I'm glad we were able to find something for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think this does work well for Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Master Sky Mural definitely has a lot more going on in terms of capital, in terms of what the story is telling. But I feel like there's just too many things in Master Sky Mural for me that it just doesn't seem to mesh very well. It seems a little more mechanical than Stake Your Soul. Stake Your Soul has less room to fuck up. So I like Stake Your Soul more. So yeah, that's what we're going on for this. So winner overall is Magic. This is kind of the point I was making with the Farfa video. I would like to make these experiments for other sets, for other card games even, because I know a lot about how other card games play, how they work, and I think we could definitely, you know, take a look at how Yu-Gi-Oh! Or even Magic compares to other card games in terms of flavor. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment what you guys think. Was I too unfair? Was I fair? Was the chat too unfair? Or whatever. Let me know. Would love to hear your thoughts. All right, peace.